You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to the line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Start it off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Schaap. You may know me from ESPN's Outside the Lines and Sports Center. What you probably don't know is that I've suffered from Crohn's disease for almost 20 years. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America's Take Steps, Be Heard walk program is the largest national walk program dedicated to raising funds and awareness to combat Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. To learn more about how you can help and to find a walk site near you, please visit www.cctakesteps.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire is Rod Eccles.
And a good morning to you, good Thursday morning to you, liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, Elrod. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. Again, that's 603-835-3226. Here it is, Thursday, March number 23 in the year of our Lord 2017. Absolutely gorgeous day today. Little bit of a breeze, clear sunny skies, but it is cold out. Yeah, it is really cold. It's below 20 degrees out there this morning. The kiddies were not delayed because it was... It was too cold. That happens sometimes around here where they delay it if they think it's going to be too cold for the little chillin' to be standing out catching the bus, which I think is really stupid. I remember being a little kid. If you live in certain places, I guess it's just where you live. But if you live in certain places, 10 degrees above zero is not cold. At this time of year, that's a heat wave. Can you imagine if they delayed or canceled school in places like the Dakotas or Montana or parts of Colorado or Alaska because the temperature got around 10 or 15 degrees above zero? Or if the temperature got to zero, they would, that's certain places they do that because we got to protect the little kitties. Yeah, look what we do when we protect the little kitties. They become spoiled little weasel, effeminate little brats that grow up to be, adults by age only, and they still remain effeminate little brats. Well, if they're males, I guess you can't be effeminate if you're. Well, you can be effeminate if you're a female. You're expected to be. You should be. Naturally so. I mean, it's not normal or usual for a female to be tomboyish as an adult. Yeah, it's not, really not, but I'm not going to get into that. What I am a little bit, I'm not taken aback by it, but I am surprised by how I seem to have affected, at least on certain social media outlets, I've affected libertarians. Yeah, I've learned that libertarians don't like me. I mean, that's okay. They don't have to. And the main reason is because I call them out on their anarchist bullshit. Because that's what it is. They're anarchists. Do you realize that the libertarian nut jobs, most of the libertarian side, believe that Laura Ingraham is a fascist? I was rather shocked. They believe that they believe Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Rush Limbaugh, and most of the other top talking heads out there, they believe that they really believe they're fascist. Wait, I'm for smaller government, for less regulation, unnecessary regulation. I'm for getting the government out of my back pocket, out of my house, out of my car, out of my life, and somehow that makes me a fascist? Well, because I don't want limits on corporations. Well, how can you have small government but excessive regulation on business? They're so-called anti-corporatists. And you see a lot of these, it hasn't been that way for a while. All the dystopian movies aren't about corporations of late. I mean, remember back in the 90s, that was the future was the dystopian movies were all about corporate takeover, corporations ruling the world, not government anymore. And actually, it is it is alive. It's not dead. It's alive and well. I finished watching the Iron Fist series last night, and that was the thing about the organization called The Hand. They're anti-corporatist. Well, only to a certain degree. What they believe is that according to the program last night, some of the episodes, The Hand believes that corporations are now running the world. And what they want is this particular corporation that Danny Rand is a father founded or what have you, could be running for The Hand. The Hand would be able to get in there and do things. And this is the whole corporate quasi-government sort of thing. Well, I mean it's crony capitalism, crony corporatism, basically. But this is what libertarians believe. So on one hand, they don't want government to tell them what to do at all, and many libertarians don't believe in government beyond the state level, and some of them are such nut jobs they don't even believe in government beyond the county level. But so they want little to no government whatsoever, but yet they want massive government to regulate corporations. I don't quite understand that thought process. So on one hand, they're communist, But on the other hand, they're anarchists. So, I mean, that doesn't jive. So if I get those kinds of people that don't like me, that's fine, because I'll call them out on being the nut jobs that they are. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I am not going to, well, how can I put this without being, I'm not worried about not being politically correct. As you well know, if you've listened to this program, you know I don't care about being politically correct. I am not politically correct. But I don't want to be vulgar. I'm not a vulgar person. But, let me put it to you this way. If you are a person who has this internal fight, call it dichotomy, call it internal fight, whatever you want, doesn't matter. But if on the one hand you think and you honestly think that you stand for freedom and liberty by having smallest possible government to the point where government is feckless and ineffectual, but on the other hand you think that corporations of just about any size above the mom and pop shop level are evil and need to be regulated, either overly regulated or regulated out of business, then that means you're for big government, but you're at the same time for small. You have no idea what life is about. You're an idiot when it comes to life. Because you cannot be a communist and an anarchist at the same time. And if you think you can, yes, you're an idiot. And I find it very, well, if you want to say pride, I'll be very prideful to know that people like you do not like me. Because it means that you are not for, not normality, but you're not for logic, you're not for reason, you're not for truth, and you're not for freedom. You're for individual self-interest, your own. And all you can think about is screwing your neighbor because your neighbor doesn't think exactly like you. You're no better than libertarians. Basically, many libertarians, they're no better than liberals. They really aren't. Now, I know that there are some genuine originalist libertarians out there that listen to this program, and I'm not talking about you people. I'm talking about your thought process or your group of people, your political party has been co-opted by a bunch of anarchists who are also who claim to be anarchists, who are also communists, who do not have anything in common with real libertarians that want small yet effective government. Government that is responsive to the people that it serves. Real government that is of, by, and for the people. See, these nutjob libertarians, they don't want government of, by, and for the people. They don't want any government at all. Except when it comes to regulating something that they don't particularly like. By the way, got a story here. The FEC, liberals in the FEC are back at it. This is what I'm talking about. Government that doesn't respond to people. It's government that responds to their own inner beliefs. The Democrats on the Federal Election Commission are back on the mantra of regulating the internet. The campaign by Democrats in the Federal Election Commission to regulate the internet from Twitter and Facebook to Drudge is back after some liberal commissioners threw in the towel amid GOP opposition, seizing on an exit report card of the agency by ex-Commissioner Ann Ravel. The left is complaining that the internet isn't being regulated for political content and spending, but should be. Well, it can't be. If you've got freedom of speech, you can't regulate it. How do you have freedom of speech that's regulated by a government? In other words, it's kind of like Britain. I mean, Britain is not exactly a free nation anymore. I mean, hell, if they don't like what you say now, I mean, they've got laws against it. I mean, Michael Savage I don't think Michael Savage is allowed back in the UK, is he? He's still banned because of what he said about Muslims and Islam. I think, he may, if he was talking in Germany, I think he may be. There are some European countries you can get arrested for being, quote unquote, disrespectful to some religion. So if they don't like what you say, then they can arrest you for it. I mean, that's a fascist type of nation. And as much as some of you nut job libertarians don't like me, I don't try to shut you up. I don't. But you would love to see me shut up. You'd love to have somebody come knocking on my door and people like me. You'd love to have people come knocking on the doors of people like me, loaded with guns and dark sunglasses, and get hauled off somewhere. I don't know. Where are we going to be? Will we be hauled off to be executed, or will we go to re-education camps to be brainwashed and educated in the way that you think that we should be? And by the way, none of this kind of stuff is new. This is all very familiar stuff. These people are, when it comes down to liberty, when it comes down to the base of freedom, let me tell you who's all about freedom. Well, it isn't. It isn't fascist. It isn't communist. It isn't liberal Democrats. It isn't rhino Republicans. It isn't the nut job libertarians. It is. It is, and it's when you actually add up all the quantities of what it takes to be a freedom-loving person, there's actually not as many people as you think, because you have so many people that believe that government is here to regulate behavior outside of the norm. When I say the norm, I mean natural norm, as in the laws written by God himself. So we don't, the notion that you should not commit murder is not a man-made concept. It's a natural law, God law concept. So yes, you punish that. What you don't punish is somebody saying, I don't like you, I think you're gay, or I think you're a tranny. You don't punish that. That's redonkulous. That's not freedom. That's going way beyond the concepts of natural law. Plain and simple. There's no way around it. I know some people are not going to like it, but hey. Oh well. You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
603-835-3226. That is the number should you wish to call in to the program this morning. Yes, 603-835-3226. Now, this is a story that I picked up or came across my wire from the Washington Examiner. Everything is alt now. Alt this, alt that, alt left, alt right, alt truth, and but anyway, using the alt FEC Twitter account, one of the several alt sites set up by government workers and agencies resisting the new Trump administration. Did you know this? Did you know that there were government workers, government agencies setting up alternate accounts, Twitter accounts, to resist? Resist we must much. Anybody remember that from Al Sharpton? Resist we must. I should probably get that recording of that. Resist we must much. People against Trump. Now, the proponents reference Ravel's critical report. It means that the FEC's disclosure rules have not been updated for the era of YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. It said, reiterating charges from Ravel and others that the FEC rules are outdated, she led the effort to change them, and Republicans on the commission said that her goal was to regulate right-leaning websites like Drudge and online campaigns of Republicans, which they are. That was dead on. It is still dead on. It was truthful. It is still truthful. That's what they're after regulating to keep you from saying what you want to say because they don't agree with you. All you got to do is look at what they've done. Let me give you the most recent example. Milo, anybody? I mean, if they don't like what you say, no matter who you are, even if you're one of their, especially if you're one of their favored minority members, and if you don't go along with them, oh my goodness, you are going to be, they want to lynch you. But if they don't like what you say, they're going to try to shout you down, shut you up, keep you from talking. That's what they're all about. They don't like, you know who else didn't like alt ideas? Yeah, fascist, communist, and monarchist. All of those heavy-handed styles of government don't like alternate ideas and alt speech. Do we have to go down this road again? Have people really forgotten? It's not even, it's not, hell, it's not even history. We've got countries that are like that right now, where people get rounded up because they don't agree with the government, the standard government propaganda. People disappear all the time in North Korea. The Cuban government was very popular and well known for throwing people who did not agree with the Castros in jail. In other countries, those types of people, they mysteriously disappeared. Before Mandela got released, he was thrown in jail because he didn't agree and spoke out differently against the South African government at the time. So all of that is not even distant history. That's either recent history or it's happening right now. And yet we've got a bunch of foolish people in this country that think, and in Europe, that think, it's proper. It's the right thing. If you don't regulate speech, then you don't have effective government. No, that's fascism. And the worst part about it is the people that are yelling fascism, they don't even, I don't know if they realize it or not, but they're actually supporting fascism by doing and saying what they're doing and saying. It's not that difficult, actually. And if they actually stopped and gave it some thought, they'd realize what they're doing. They'd slap themselves in the face, pick themselves up by the nape of their neck, brush themselves off, and then start realizing that if they really want to have public discourse and make things better for themselves, their family, and their beliefs to get out there, then they've got to listen to other people too. They can disagree, but you don't act like fascists and try to jail them or shut them up.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness, From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
You know, yesterday was a perfect example of sensationalism in media. With the attack out over in London, England. I mean, the reporting. This is why I hate reporting on breaking news because of such magnitude, because they rarely get it right the first time or the second time. And then even after all the facts really start coming in, then they still seem to a lot of times get it wrong. I'm not even sure now how many people dead. It depends on the news outlet. I've got some news outlets that I was looking at this morning that said 4 people were dead, and some news outlets said 5. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, that's not a big deal, Rod. Well, one. It's called news, being accurate and truthful. And so, yeah, it is a big deal. Were there 4 deaths from this incident or 5? Or are some news organizations only counting the victims and not the assailant? And are the other outlets, are they counting the assailant? I'm guessing there were 4 innocent people that were killed. And the 5th death would be that of the perpetrator. Okay, so they're both right if that's the case, but both of them are not being completely honest and truthful. Now you could argue that those who are saying that there are 5 deaths, they want to make it sound more horrific than it was. And you could say, well, those who are saying there are 5 deaths, they're including the sad fact that the person who actually did the terrorist activity was also sadly killed by coppers with guns. Now, that was one of the sub headlines in some of the articles coming out of England. Police with guns shoot terrorist, and of course we had. Many news outlets in this country beside themselves, like CNN, because the Brits were saying, well, this is a terrorist act until we have evidence that proves to us otherwise. They had no qualms about calling it a terrorist attack. And then it came out that the guy was actually British born, and there's a lot of things that are really weird about this whole story. And it's simply because it's the UK. And you've got people in the UK who are out there talking about, who seem to be proudly talking about the fact that the attacker did not limit his attack to just Brits. That there was great diversity in those who were injured. I actually got a tweet here. Here's a snapshot of London's magnificent diversity in those injured. Now, how is it magnificent that look? I guess if you want to consider diversity being magnificent when it comes to people being maimed and killed, I guess we had wonderful diversity back on 9/11/2001 here in the U.S. of A., didn't we? We're not a diverse nation. We're trying not really. Well, I guess according to this idiot over in the UK who was lauding the diversity of those injured in a terrorist attack. Well, I guess we could if we went back and took a look at the magnificent diversity in the towers and on the aircraft and in the Pentagon. Well, maybe not the Pentagon, but at least the aircraft and the towers. Pentagon, they're probably mostly Americans, by the way. So I'm just saying. If you want to look at background diversity, what their heritage was, there was probably a lot of diversity in the Pentagon too. But you just want to talk plain diversity. The Twin Towers, all the jets that went down, the PA jet, there was a lot of diversity there too. Did we talk about diversity then? As it was some great thing because it wasn't just Americans that got killed on that day? So is he happy? Is this tweeter happy that it just wasn't Brits that got injured? And because it just wasn't Brits that got injured and killed yesterday, it was proof of London and England's diversity? What kind of BS is that? I mean, seriously. What kind of moron tries to find that kind of positivity, their word, out of such negativity? Oh, look at the bright side, Rod. Look at the bright side. Yeah, what is the bright side? Bright side is there was massive diversity in the attacker's victims. I mean, that's basically what he was saying. I don't know how you get diversity out of that. This is how sick liberals are. This is how twisted they are. It doesn't matter what country that they reside in. They're twisted. Another example of liberalism is a mental disorder. No doubt. No doubt about that. Liberalism is definitely a mental disorder. By the way, ISIS is claiming responsibility for the London terror attack after this so-called British-born terrorist kills. Now, see, this is from the mirror.co.uk. Kills 3 and injures 20. Now, yesterday, I'm looking at different venues. Fox News here had 4 dead, 40 injured. I had Daily Mail, 5 dead, 45 injured. And now I'm looking at the Mirror, which was just recently posted. It was updated early this morning, our time. 3 dead, 29 injured. So is now, I don't know, where's the 5th one coming from? Because now I'm going to guess that the 4th person that was dead is actually the terrorist himself. So where are they getting the 5th person? If there were only total of 4 dead. I don't know. But anyway, ISIS claims responsibility for a London terror attack after British-born terrorist kills 3 and injures 29. Well, what happened to the 40 or 45? Were they injured but not by the attacker? I mean, that's possible. People trying to get away, I suppose. I don't know how they. Anyway, 4 people, including PC Keith Palmer, were killed after a terrorist mowed down pedestrians in Westminster Bridge before attempting to enter the house. Now, see, within their own story, I can't figure it out. This is the problem with news report. Does anybody ever? Do they even teach journalism in college anymore? Now, look, folks. I know this is important, but I need to take this side note because it's also just equally important, and it goes to show the lack of real journalism that we have, not just in this country but around the world. Because we have too many reporters, so-called reporters, that have an agenda. The agenda is not of gathering the facts and telling you the facts and telling you the truth. That's not the agenda for most reporters today. I don't care if they're newsprint reporters or they're television reporters or they're internet reporters. We have this notion that they're all supposed to have an agenda and that they're all supposed to promote their agenda without telling you what their agenda is. But then they're supposed to tell you, well, we're non-biased, we're middle of the road, which is a bunch of BS. How do you have a story that's a headline that says 3 are dead, but in the subheadline you say 4 are dead? I don't know. They can't even make up their own damn mind. No wonder I'm looking at reports that say 4 are dead or 5 are dead. No wonder I'm looking at reports that said, 40 were injured and 45 were injured. Well, this one doesn't even say 40 or 45. It says 29. So where are they getting the extra 11 to 14 injured? I don't know, folks. I look at this stuff and I try. This is why I started this program in the first place. Back in March of 2009. Because the lamestream media, even back then, was doing everything in their power to protect and promote Barack Hussein Obama. And I knew Barack Hussein Obama's agenda was bad for this country. And I was frustrated as hell about seeing the lack of truth being reported. That was the frustrating part. That is why I was so angry, banging on my keys for trying to put out a blog post that day. And when searching for an audio blog platform where I could voice my displeasure and frustration instead of banging on my computer keys and probably getting even more angry and throwing my laptop or desktop across the room. Yeah, some people say I have anger issues. I don't think so. I don't have anger problems or anger issues at all. I get angry, I go nuclear, and then I'm fine. It's not a problem. It's a problem if you hold on to it. You hold on to that anger and let it seethe and burn. That's the problem. What's it? It's what they call it, type A personality. There are 2 types of type A personality. There's a type A personality that has a very long fuse. It takes a lot to get them upset, but when they do get upset and blow, they really blow. That's kind of me. And then there's a type that's easily angered, but they explode and then they're done. Those are the type A's. Then you got the type B's that just sort of stay angry all the time. And you got type C's that never seem to get angry. And you always wonder if they are. And they kind of scare you because they never seem to get angry. You know who's like that? Well, if you what's her name? Wintour. She was portrayed as Amanda, I think was her name in Devil Wears Prada. Never got her voice. She never rose her voice. Why isn't anybody ever ready for meetings or what have you? Never wrote, her voice never went above a certain level. Never seemed to get. Those are the people you got to worry about. Then you just have the bees that just sort of like they burn and burn and burn and burn, and they shove that anger down, and then that gets dangerous for their own health. But those who supposedly have better health conditions are those who like get angry and then let it go. And there are two types of those that get angry quickly all the time. Now they may have problems. Get angry quickly and all the time. That may be a problem. But then there are those of us who have a much longer fuse. It takes a lot to get us upset. But when we do get upset, it is usually very legitimate, and then we let it go once we're all done. That's me. I can go nuclear, and then I'm fine. But that's that's the reason this program was begun. Was just a sense of just a way for me to let off steam quickly and be done with it and be over with it. But I got to tell you, the older I get, the less ability I have to suffer fools. I cannot suffer fools as much as I used to when I was younger. I was much more patient with fools back in the day. I am so much less patient with fools today. Now, maybe that just happens with age. I guess that's why you get grumpy, why people think you're grumpy when you're an old man. You're a grumpy old man because you've lost all your patience with stupid people. I can see that now. I know why many grumpy old men are grumpy, because they've lost all their patience with stupid people. And if you're not polite to people who are stupid, well, now you're grumpy. Well, I mean, you don't have time to be polite to stupid people anymore. You realize you've wasted a lot of your life being polite and patient with stupid people. And when you get old, you realize you don't have a lot of time left. So you don't want to waste the time that you have left with stupid people. So why do I want to waste my time with stupid reporting? But a lot of this reporting is like that, including on Fox, by the way. Fox is similar. I mean, there are people that are really upset that Fox has put Judge Napolitano on hiatus just before the news comes out that with Nunes that they were the Obama administration knew about, and they were watching some of the Trump team and possibly even Trump himself, and that there were so-called quote-unquote wiretapping going on and surveillance going on. And Comey said, yeah, there has been surveillance going on, so all the way back since July of 2016. And you still have Democrats out there trying to twist the truth. Trump needs to present some proof that there's your proof. There's your proof. You got Comey and Nunes out there saying that, yeah, you know what? Trump was right. It was actually happening. And you still have reporters out there in the left mainstream media in this country trying to tell us that Trump is crazy. So, as I was saying, there is no real reporting anymore. There's no more gathering the facts and telling you what the facts are. No, it's all BS is what it is now. Try figuring it out.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Call Rod now, 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
Regardless of the tally or total of what happened in London, it doesn't really matter in my book if it's 3 or 33 that are dead. Doesn't matter if it's 29 or 290 that are injured. I mean, it's just, after all, it's just numbers, right? It's just numbers. The real truth, and the story that the real truth of the story is that it was a terror attack. There was no reason behind it whatsoever. No real reason. And I know this is going to sound a little strange, but there was no crime behind this. In other words, it wasn't as if somebody was trying to rob the bank or, rob a museum or something. It wasn't as if they were trying to get in there and assassinate one of the leaders. And I'm not saying any of that stuff would be fine, would make it any less horrific, but there would be a reason. There is no reason behind terror other than to cause terror. That's not a crime, by the way. That's an act of war. There's a difference. So when you're dealing with crime, then you treat criminals a little differently. Soldiers of war, I don't care where they're born, you treat them differently from criminals. They're not criminals; they're soldiers. There's only one thing for a soldier to do, and depending on what level of the war that you're currently in, there's only one thing for a soldier to do, but it has two parts. It is to kill and destroy the enemy and whatever they happen to have built. So you kill and destroy the enemy. Now, the other part is, you can kill and destroy the enemy and get home safely so you can go out and do it again. Or in the case like towards the end of World War II, if you die, you die. Kamikazes. If you must die in order to take out, if you by your death, you take out 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 of them before you die, then that's okay too. You're a soldier. That's what it takes to win the war. That's all it is. A crime has a criminal element to it. In other words, the criminal wants something. I mean, except for egregious murder. Well, even then, murder is usually for a reason. This isn't murder. Terrorism is not murder. We like to think of it as murder, but that's a criminal offense. This is war. The only objective is to win. It isn't to gain something. It isn't to, gain somebody's silence or somebody's money, or somebody's criminal power. It is simply to win. Win over a society. That's it. That's what war is. War is all about changing the style of rulership, governance. And this is exactly what terrorists want. They're at war with us. So we have to treat them a lot differently. And in order to do that, you've got to know exactly what they're doing, and you got to tell the truth. Well, we can't have a panic. I don't know if there are stories out there saying that they've had their eye on this guy. They've known about this guy for months and months. This terrorist. And they still, because they're treating it as a criminal offense, this guy was able to do what he did. So now there are 3 to 5 people out there that should be alive today that are not. Because you have some politically correct in government who think that you should look at this as a criminal event and not a war event.
America is America because it is so American. The children, they are the future of children, and she loves the children. Diversity is diverse when diversity is diversified. For a future you can see, for a future that brings with it all the hopes of tomorrow. By doing everything we did yesterday, we need a leader, we need a champion, we need her.
Vote for me! It's enough now! Give me it! It's mine! I want it! Just give me it! I want it now!
Stop asking questions and just give it to her already. Or you're a sexist racist.
Paid for by criminals and idiots for Hillary Clinton, because let's face it, you'd have to be one or the other to vote for this complete monster.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
And now, live from the bunkerized studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire,
Welcome back, my liberty lovers and ecclesiastites. Yes, it is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. And it is Thursday, March the 23rd, in the year of our Lord 2000. I can't believe it's actually Thursday. Four days into this week already. Well, I hope your week is going well. If it's not, then you still have time to turn it around before the weekend gets here, to make your weekend go well. And can I? There's I have found a way that we could actually torture people without even torturing them, really. And it's, I don't know what kind of rope it was a nylon type of roping, but I was cleaning it. They use it in certain types of packaging. But I was picking it up off the floor over the weekend, and it was somehow I got little fibers stuck in my fingers. So I've been picking out these as I feel, because something you still got a fiber there because you'll brush something with your fingers and you'll have this sharp stabbing pain all of a sudden, little pinprick. So I know there's a little fiber there, and I've been trying to pick out these stupid little fibers since this weekend. And there's still some in my fingers. It's ridiculous. You could force these types of wrap these people up in rope like this without take off their shirts, take off their clothes, and they'll be picking out these fibers for months, if not years. It's annoying. It really and that just sounded like a millennial. It's annoying. In any case, welcome back, folks. A little bit of light humor amongst all of the hard stuff that we do cover here on a daily basis. Speaking of hard stuff that we need to cover, we have a special report in this morning. A little bit of a follow-up from my own agent, 0010, who is back in the house to give us a little bit of an update about what we discussed yesterday. Good morning, Agent 0010.
Good morning, Rod. How you doing?
I'm well, just a little annoyed by some of these fibers still stuck in my fingers.
Like, oh my God, like that's like so annoying.
Yes. That's amazing how that stuff can rub off on you.
Sorry, I had to do that. I heard it, and I had to go with it.
There you go. So what did you find out new? What you got for us? First bring us up, give us a little synopsis of what we went over yesterday and bring us up to speed. What's the new stuff you got?
Well, basically, I just continue to stand my ground and say that, yes, there was surveillance being conducted on Donald Trump. On President Trump when he was candidate Trump. And it continued while he was using Trump Tower as his makeshift White House until it was time for the inauguration. And I also stated a couple of things that James Comey had to say, one of them which really made me sit up and take notice, where he said that that there was there was surveillance being conducted on the president. And the other one that really blew my mind away was when he said he had no idea how many people within his agency have the unmasking clearance. That just, like I said, it made me drop my pen and look up and say, are you kidding me? And Admiral Rogers, he was just nailing the answers left and right with a great deal of confidence. He didn't even have to think about it, as opposed to Director Comey, who basically, for the most part, sat there, and half of his answers all started with, and you're like, oh, here comes the crap. Here comes the lies. And that's really about it. To put it in a nutshell, in layman's terms, in blunt English. But last night I was sitting here piecing things together, because part of intelligence is thinking. And it's, don't think that intelligence and thinking go hand in hand, because sometimes they don't. But I was piecing things together as to what James Comey said, as to what Admiral Rogers said, as to what Senator Nunez said. And I'm putting these things together. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. So I had to write it down. So U.S. persons in the transition team had basically little to no foreign intelligence value. Why are we still collecting on that? Why was that information collected?
My question is how now they keep using this term and this word inadvertent. How do you inadvertently surveil somebody?
You know what? If you told me I was after this possible Russian operative, but he was speaking with an American, okay, well, your target is the Russian, and he just so happened to have been speaking to an American who could have been his mechanic, who could have been his caterer.
Yeah, but you inadvertently surveil this American for months? No.
Because the process is you do a background check on this individual. You find out to see if they have a criminal record, to see if they have any kind of record. You do a quality of life examination on this person. Because, believe it or not, yes, they do a quality of life. And if it comes up that the guy just lives in Queens, New York, okay, fine, let it go. He's just talking about his car. It's not code or anything like that. There is no connection. So you let it go. But if you write it in a report, you put down American 1 or American 2, depending on how many Americans he spoke with that day. But if you don't say, John Doe from Rico's Garage in Staten Island, New York, and the address and everything else, you don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. Well, in the case of Trump's transition team, that was basically done. And it's illegal. Because the original report, the true report, the actual gathered intelligence from that first conversation is basically locked and sealed away. Everything after that is American 1. So that way you have something to go back to the original report. Well, in the case of Trump's transition team and other members of the Trump group, well, A, that wasn't done, and B, it wasn't locked away. It was basically just scattered to the forward to all the other intelligence organizations. Now, remember yesterday we spoke about compartmentalization?
Yes.
Well, guess what? The walls of I'm having a rough time speaking. I haven't had enough coffee. Compartmentalization have been taken down. So there is problem number 2. Now, I kept thinking, and I kept looking over between Comey, Admiral Rogers, and Committee Chairman Nunez. And I kept going over all 3. And I just sat there, and I just kept writing down notes and breaking things down. Because you start off with a stack and work your way down. You whittle that stack down. Now, none of the surveillance had anything to do, most of the surveillance had nothing to do with Russia. And as far as this transition team, none of it had to do with Russia.
And what were they looking for? What were they doing surveilling these people?
It had nothing to do. And it had nothing to do with, and there's another investigation about Russian activity. Well, guess what? None of these two linked up to each other. Now, you asked me just now, why did they continue to surveil? I'll get to that in a minute, because I came up with a final conclusion. Now, the NSA is cooperating, like I told you yesterday. The FBI, not so much. Red flag. Now, within certain aspects of the NSA, there are individuals, and most of them are civilians. Because, believe it or not, the NSA is a part of the United States military. If you take a look at every Dernza, which is our speak for the director of the NSA, if you look at every Dernza, every single one of them are military. But a great deal of them such as Snowden. He was a civilian contractor. There is a lot of civilians that work at the NSA, and I can assure you, most of them are annoying as hell. Those of us that wore the uniform and worked directly for the NSA that were not contractors, these civilians are annoying. They really are. And if there is a contractor that works for the NSA listening to me right now, sorry, but not sorry. Now, the FBI, that's chock full of civilians. Nothing but civilians. Military, very disciplined. You know, even if they're thinkers, you know, they get up, PT, so on and so forth, very disciplined. Got to report at such and such a time, so you got to be there 15 minutes early, so on and so forth. As opposed to the civilians, not so much. You know, then they don't go through many of the processes. Even though they are disciplined in other realms, the fact still remains is that these civilians have this feeling of, well, I'm not going to do that because it's my right as an American not to agree with that. Well, if you're working for the FBI, you just shut the hell up and do as you're told and make sure that it's not illegal or immoral. So drive on, Sparky. Now, the widespread dissemination of these reports to other agencies, like I told you, is wrong. These reports also show that there is no collusion between members of the transition team and or any Russian operatives. But yet it continued. Now, remember a couple of weeks ago, I also told you that I had a funny feeling that that the surveillance continued after the inauguration, after the president had moved into the White House, and that once he went on Twitter, that's when it stopped, because all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, damn, we're caught."
Yeah,
Stop
well,
right now.
This is what Noon said about this was happening after the election, that they inadvertently surveilled members of the transition team, now members of the administration, and they're doing this out of what? There's no evidence of any collusion. Every time they look into it, they find nothing. But yeah, I hate to bring up old news, but we have all kinds of evidence of Hillary Clinton's debacle of Benghazi, and yet they tell us there's nothing there. And there's no there on Hillary, but there's no evidence on Trump, and they keep telling us there's obviously something there. There has to be something there. We just got to find it. Why? What is it really? 0010, is the intelligence community, is Washington, D.C. really that scared of Donald Trump that they are looking for anything, everything that they possibly can get on probably one of the cleanest candidates this country has seen over the past 60 years?
That I can explain very easily. And the answer to that is yes. Why? Donald Trump, yesterday I told you that Maxine Waters is the Republicans' best weapon. Well, I hate to say this. Donald Trump, President Donald J. Trump, is the Democrats' best weapon against him. Why? For the simple fact is that when he said drain the swamp, he should have left it at there. But no, he continued to say about term limits for senators and congressmen. Do you think that senators such as Schumer, who came in 30 years ago dead broke, is now a millionaire? Nancy Pelosi, who came in dead broke, is now another millionaire? Maxine Waters, who came in dead broke, is another millionaire. These individuals became filthy rich by becoming public servants. Now, can somebody point to me and show me a social worker that works for a welfare department or some kind of a social services that came in dead broke and came out as a millionaire or a millionaire? No, they went in dead broke and they're coming out dead broke. They're scared of losing all their money. They are scared of losing all their influence. They are scared of losing this plush lifestyle. Now, other members of the intelligence community, such as Brennan, such as Clapper, such as Comey, these individuals, they can turn a blind eye while these politicians are doing whatever they want, because these department heads, these directors of agencies that should be held at high regard and high esteem, well, guess what? They can do whatever they want. They'll get what they want. They will. It's like the Praetorian Guards when they used to elect or select the new Caesar, the new emperor of Rome. Well, guess what? At one point in time, the CIA, they were the Praetorian Guards of this country. They were defending and protecting who they felt would be right for the country and for themselves. And they had the assistance of the Senate of this country, not the Senate of Rome. And that example just popped in my head, and I hope it made sense.
It made sense to me, I'm sure.
But here's what I concluded. That if the president can no longer order anything at Trump Tower, he has basically pushed that away. But if one of his sons, Donald J. Trump Jr. or Eric Trump, decide to bring in high-level professionals to do a complete and total scan of their server and of their phone systems, I am almost sure that they will find something very, very suspicious. They will find remnants of programs that should not be there. They will find things that may be surprising to them. And this whole thing boils down to one thing. Why was this done? Why were all these reports disseminated across all the intelligence organizations? Because the simple fact, it's a shell game. They have somebody somewhere that takes all this stuff, puts it together, and they do a slow drip on the president. Little by little. First it was Flynn. Oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. First it was his former campaign manager. Then it was General Flynn. Then it was General Sessions. And now who's going to be next? They were looking at Sebastian Gorka, Dr. Gorka. Some stuff started on him. It's going to be a slow process of picking off his people one at a time and prolonging the pain, prolonging the agony, prolonging everything, including the president's picks for certain offices. There has to be a committee.
Yeah,
committee
that's exactly
coming together.
What's been going on while we've been going so slow with this whole thing. I got to get going on another break, my friend. It is great to talk to you again. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date. That just enlightened a lot of our listeners on a lot more stuff. Yeah, this is it's. Look. If people don't see the truth before them, it's simply because they don't want to see the truth. Absolutely. Have yourself a wonderful day. And, hey, be safe out there, will you? 0010?
Definitely will. I'll take my fiber bar with me. Have a great one.
Bye-bye. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. what happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
(603-835-3226). One of the things that you have to understand that is, I can't get into a huge dissertation. We went a little bit long in that last segment, as we normally and usually do with 0010, because he always brings us interesting stuff. I hate cutting him off. Folks, you really got to pay attention to all this stuff. You got to understand that 2 + 2 = 4, but you also have to understand the multiplier behind that. That, 2 + 2 = 4, but so does 2 times 2. So what does all that mean? It means that there's so much more going on underneath that we don't see, and we usually don't see it because the media has its own agenda and doesn't want you to see it. And hopefully we peel back some of these stinky onion layers for you to get to be able to see all of this stuff that's really going on underneath. Stay tuned. We're not done yet, folks. We'll be back. Call Rod now. 606-603-835-3226.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
Now, here's something that you're not going to hear from all the other talking heads out there. And now, first of all, let me say this. I am not advocating that anyone break any of their local, state, or federal laws. Not at all. And that you really need to look at the different laws within your state because they vary from state to state. But in many states, it is not illegal for you to, well, in some states it is illegal for you to record a conversation without the person involved in the conversation knowing that they're being recorded. Now, in some states, you only need, without having a warrant, you only need one person knowing that the conversation is being recorded. And in some states, both parties need to know and understand that it is being recorded, unless, of course, you have a wiretap. Now, that's why I'm saying you need to check your individual state and local laws. But in many places, because we have these things that go by many names, but most people understand them and know them as bionic ears, in that if you are in a public location, there is no expectation of you having privacy. And if your sound vocals can be heard from outside of the conversation area, then you also have no expectation of privacy. Now, in some areas, you can listen into conversations without somebody knowing, you just may not be able to record electronically. Doesn't mean you can't take written notes. Now, I'm not advocating anybody do this kind of stuff, but you have to understand, oftentimes this is how stories in news get broken. It isn't always because of some deep throat agent that just drops something off to a reporter. That may get the investigation started, but a lot of times these reporters will just hang around certain places and try to eavesdrop by ear. And they write this stuff down. They often don't record it, but they do write it down. And that's how a lot of this stuff gets out there. So this is something that the average citizen can do. They can just, quote unquote, overhear something. That's not illegal. Overhearing a conversation is not legal. Is it safe? Probably not. By the way, in some areas, in some states, did you know that you don't have an expectation of privacy if you're in a public place? And did you know that in some states, if your office is in a public building, such as give you an example, as the Sears Tower. It's not called the Sears Tower anymore, but Sears Tower, or in the Empire State Building. If you have an office in the Empire State Building, did you know that's a public building? I know it's a private real estate entity, but it's still called a public place because the public is invited to come to it. Even in your private office, there is no real expectation of privacy, and your conversation can be legally overheard. Now, I don't know the laws of New York State as far as the recording of it is concerned, but if you just have a bionic ear and you just happen to overhear something and you write it down, you're good to go. Again, I'm not advocating people do this, because sometimes you can get stuff that you probably should not get, and it could be very dangerous for you. But if you want to break a story or get to the truth, sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to be a private sleuth. And how do you think private detectives get all this information? They do a lot of hunting and a lot of footwork, yes, and take a lot of pictures. But they also have spy equipment. It's why all that spy equipment that you can buy. There's a store out in San Francisco, the Spy Store. If you've never been out, I've been in it. Let me tell you, they've got some gadgets like you. All this stuff is street legal. It's amazing what's street legal. Simply because in most areas, in most states, and in most, what you can do with that stuff is very legal. Bionic ears are very legal. And they're fairly cheap nowadays. I mean, hell, they're so cheap that they were made into toys. And they were a few years ago they were big sellers in the boys' toy category. It's just, and we look at this stuff now. We're giving this stuff to our kids as toys, so they grow up with it, expecting to, getting used to it and knowing that it's always around. And you can go out to, you don't even have to go out to the spot. You can go online and to find spy stores that are located all over the country. Makes me think maybe I should put up a store for this stuff. But most of it is, all the stuff that's being sold on the street in a storefront is legal. Again, you have to check your own local codes and laws, because it may vary state to state. But in most cases, it's very legal. If you can buy it as a toy at Toys R Us in your state, then it's legal. And plain and simple. And I'm not kidding. You could buy this spy stuff as toys at Toys R Us. They were huge Christmas gift things a few years ago. They were some of the top Christmas toys for boys. And they haven't really changed. Look, our government is just now getting on board to trying to figure out how to regulate and write laws for drones. So, I mean, they're behind the eight ball on this stuff. And we're getting more and more of this kind of technology that is becoming cheaper and cheaper on a daily basis. I mean, how cheap can you get? You go from military drones that are, some of them are fairly large. but costing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars per unit, down to where you get toys for a couple of $100 that take fantastic pictures. And some of these drones have microphones on them. And this is off the shelf stuff. This is not privately made stuff. I mean, you got people out there who are, well, I'm sure you'll probably have them pretty soon off the shelf. There was a person in Connecticut making I'm sure they're not the only one, who was developing a drone, and he developed his own drone. He hacked his own drone to be able to fire a handgun. Yeah, and now we're starting to see drones in the public sector that are security drones that have non-lethal weapons being mounted on them. So, folks, this stuff is legal, for now at least, so you can utilize it. I mean, the stuff that used to be contained to James Bond movies and other spy movies like The Saint and the Avengers and stuff is now an everyday item that you can pick up off the shelf. That's how cheap this stuff has gotten. And most of that stuff is not illegal. It is very legal. So there you have it. If you want to know some of this stuff, but when the government does it, because they're trying to do it for a legal case, well, now there are laws governing that, and it's called the Constitution. And that there are certain things that, now again, a cop can follow you. An FBI agent can follow you without needing a warrant. They can follow you and overhear a conversation. They can't record things, audio record. They could visually, in public they can, but if they want to get to your so-called private conversations, well, now they need a warrant. But they, FBI agents and police department, they can overhear you just like anybody else can, without a warrant. So you better know what is construed as being overheard as versus being recorded. It's a gray area sometimes, but that gray area usually falls on the positive side of the people who are actually doing the so-called recording or surveilling. You can surveil anybody you want. You could follow people. You can't do it to the point where you put them in where they find out and they think that their safety's at risk. That's called stalking. But you can follow people and surveil them. And especially if you have a legit reason for doing so. And in a lot of, I know a lot of times you got this celebrity stuff, anti-stalking because of celebrities. But, did you know you can even follow, a lot of times you can follow celebrities. And celebrities have tried to get photographers, the paparazzi. Some of these paparazzi, they've tried to utilize the anti-stalking laws against paparazzi. Guess what? Didn't work. Because the stalking laws are very specific in their intent. And just following you around so they can get a good picture of you out in public is not stalking. It's surveilling. There is a difference. Gray area, you definitely need to make sure that you get legal advice before you start doing any of that kind of stuff. Just throwing that out there. In any case, yeah, well, now I know somebody's going to get caught doing something, and they're going to say, Rod said I could do this. I'm telling you to check first. Make sure. Don't blame me if you get caught doing something illegal. I'm not advocating you go out there and do something illegal. I'm advocating you stay within the legal realm of what you're allowed to do. And in order for you to do that, you probably need, if you don't already work in the industry where you know all the laws around that, you probably need to get, legal counsel from some. Don't go to the police department. They can't give you legal advice. I learned that the hard way. You ask police department, well, can I do this? And they can tell you, yeah, you can do that. And then later a few days later, you find out, well, you can't do that. So now, either you're under arrest or you get a ticket. But you told me, doesn't matter. I'm telling you the truth. See, in this state we have something called an abandoned vehicle law. And I specifically remember having to move a vehicle while it was during my separation period. And I specifically asked police officer who came to question me about the vehicle. I said, okay, can I move it and leave it here for a few days? He told me, I should have recorded it. He said yes. So I moved it to that location until I could get in touch with somebody to move it to a different location. So I moved it to that location. The very next day, they were knocking on my door saying that I broke the law. And I said, but you said, he said, well, no, we didn't. We didn't mean there. I'm telling you, you cannot go to the police to ask for their legal advice. Because either they will get it wrong by accident or on purpose. It doesn't matter. Could be on accident, could be on purpose. You're still responsible. So don't ask a cop. And for those of you in law enforcement, I'm not throwing shade on you, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Especially if you have a police department that's bigger than one or two police officers, because one officer will tell you one thing and another one will they don't communicate, and another officer will not know. And then that's who comes knocking on your door. So you can't do that. You can't take the advice of a cop. You just can't. Again, it's not throwing shade on police, because they're not in the business of giving legal advice in the first place. That is not their job. So go to people who would know, who are going to be honest with you about what the law is. On anything, not just surveillance stuff. On anything. If you want to know what the law is, don't ask a cop. Because believe it or not, a lot of times they won't even know. I've had that happen too. You know, you're on the highway and you get pulled over, and the officer sees something and goes, no, I don't think you can do that or have that. And you say, what? What do you mean you think? And I've had a police officer, a state trooper, not going to say the state, well, yes, I will, Massachusetts, had a state trooper in Massachusetts tell me, I don't think that this type of a light is legal in this state. And I'm looking at him and say, well, shouldn't you know? And he says, you know, I'll go back, I'll check. Well, hello, he's supposed to be upholding the law, and he doesn't know? Well, it's because there are too many laws. Not blaming him. There are too many laws. And he comes back and he says, yeah, you can't have that kind of a light. So I'm just going to give you a warning. Well, oh, thank you. Because if you don't know, how am I supposed to know? I know ignorance is no excuse for breaking a law, but I mean, even if those who are upholding the law don't even know what the law is, and then where are you going with that? And come to find out, it was perfectly legal in my state, in New Hampshire. It's just illegal in Massachusetts. Well, you know, People's Republic of Mass. So don't ask a cop. They may not even know to begin with. You would think that they should, but you know, there's, as I have said before, we have too many laws in the books for these poor guys out there, men and women out there in blue. They're not even the traditional sense of police anymore. They're not. Their regulation, you know, what they're out there is they're upholding regulation. That is not what their job is supposed to be about. It is supposed to be about societal protection, keeping society safe from criminal elements and criminal threats. Well, having a certain kind of light on your vehicle has nothing to do with public safety. That's all about regulation, not law. And they're forcing these men and women who are trying to do an honest, most of them who are trying to be honest and do an honest day's job, they're forcing them to negatively interact with the public for stupid little items like that. And half the time they got to go back to their cruiser and look up their own. If cops didn't have laptops today, do you know, in their vehicles? I mean, this is amazing. I mean, they've got these little tough books that they're called, these laptops in these police cruisers. They can take a beating. But the reason that they're there is not just to be able to run your license plate and your driver's license faster, but it's basically so that they have programs that are hooked up to the law and regulation in their particular community, because there's so much of it that these guys just can't remember it all. So if you've got a cruiser behind that is sitting behind you with flashing lights, and you're wondering what is taking so long, it isn't because he's checking on your registration and your license, especially if there's nothing wrong with it. It's because he's checking to see if there's other things that you did or did not do that you were supposed to or not supposed to do. He's checking the law on you. That's what's taking so long. I know I've been sitting in a cruiser when they've done it. You know, you go on those ride-alongs? Well, that's what they do. I mean, that is what they do. They check right then and there. And I remember sitting in the front seat of the cruiser while this police officer is doing it. I think, do you really think that that's the right thing to do? If you don't know, then how are they supposed to know? And he looked at me and says, well, ignorance is no excuse. I said, yeah, but you're ignorant too if you're looking it up. He goes, but this is what we have to do. Like, really? So that's what those tough book laptop computers are for. Because if they really are just checking your registration or license plate, it's called the radio. They're using the laptop for other reasons. Don't doubt me, folks.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Well, with all that being said, you're probably asking, well, Rod, how does one protect themselves from all of that stuff? And again, I don't have all the answers to that. But I can give you some basic stuff. One, you can talk more softly especially if you're doing things that you think you can be surveilled for, whether it be legal or illegal, it doesn't matter. Speak more softly. Don't yell. Don't speak loudly. Turn down the volume on your voice. That makes it harder. Talk in inner. If you're talking about stuff you don't want other people to know about so much, and talk inside the innermost rooms of your home. The sound has to pass through more walls that way. It becomes more muffled and more difficult to pick up inadvertently unless you have specialized equipment. Speak in basements. Now, some people would think, well, wouldn't that be easier to hear? No, that would not be easier to hear because ground is for vocal sound waves, earth is a good insulator. Because the longer the waves are, that's what earthquake waves are, fairly long. The earth can transmit long waves very readily. Shorter waves, like most people's voice waves, is a little bit more difficult. They don't travel as far. It's not like water, where sound waves like that travel much farther in water than in air. So, if you have a pool if you're near water, get away from the water. Do not be near water when you're having a conversation. Lakes, pools, what have you, it amplifies you. Do not be near water if you're trying to have a private conversation. Because sound will not only travel through water farther, but water tends to reflect sound. This is why sometimes, especially at night, and also have your conversation during the day. Because at night, it's easier. There's less interference in the air and the atmosphere, which is why you're able to get AM radio stations, especially from hundreds of miles away, that you cannot get during the day. So just a few little things that you can do to try to keep yourself a little bit safer.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, They adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
And now, live from the bunkerized studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, is Rod Eccles.
And welcome back. Here we are, hour number 3 already here on the Rod Eccles Show, the fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod. Welcome to all of you wonderful ecclesiastites and liberty lovers all across the globe. Glad you are here. Listening to the program. 603-835-3226 is the call-in number. Look, did you know that, and you should understand that you can find just about, you can find anything on the internet. And did you know that it's now to the point where you can find almost anything on YouTube? If you can find it on the internet, there is probably a video to show you visually how to do it. And I learned that, off the shelf type of stuff. And if you are, how to make stuff, forms and things like that, you can really make it look like it's custom. It doesn't have to look like it's just a bunch of stuff taken from off the shelf and tacked on. There are a few people out there that have basically turned their cars into James Bond cars. I'm not kidding. Just regular people. And there are people that have, you can find out how to, how James Bond has a smoke cloud in some of his car. Yeah, there are people that show you how to make the smoke thing. There are videos that show you how to make an oil slick. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody use any of this kind of stuff. And not that oil slicks really work anyway, especially if you get somebody who knows how to drive who's behind you. They're not going to be, but amateurs, and you don't want to just start throwing oil down on roadways. It's not a good idea. But they show you how to do it. Show you how to make a smoke screen. There's even a gentleman out there, and I'm guessing he's not in America because he has a slight accent. But he shows you how to put guns in your car that pop out like Bond does or has. So basically, you can find anything. If you want to put cameras on your car, there's a guy out there who's so paranoid. He has a Z? Eclipse. An Eclipse. He's got 11 cameras on his Eclipse. And you think, well, where's it? No big deal if he's trying to protect himself. Well, he's so smart with this that all he has to do is flip a switch, a hidden switch. All 11 cameras will start recording. But it's not that they're recording and it's in the car. It has its own he broadcast it. So through cellular and hotspot, it is. And I guess he has a built-in hotspot in his vehicle too now. So it goes to a server where it's immediately broadcast, not just recorded, but broadcast. So it's off-site, obviously, out of the vehicle. I thought that was very clever. That not only is the information recorded on board in the car,